Hello, welcome to another episode of the Horror Vision Horror Podcast. I'm Shawn,
And I am Anthony.
and we are Zooming it again. We may be joined by some of our fellow fiends. Everybody's out running around doing post-Indigenous Slaughter Day eating or shopping or working or whatever, so we'll see who joins us or if anyone does. Otherwise, we got some stuff to talk about, so what do you got? What's on your mind, Anthony? What have you watched?
I want to talk politics for a moment. No, I'm just kidding. I really don't.
Hanging up now.
Yeah, that's a wrap. 1995, Lord of Illusions, classic Clive Barker story. Yeah, threw that one on. Fucking beautiful. Still amazing. I love the Harry D'Amour character. I've always been a fan since the books and was glad to see him return in the Scarlet Gospels. I won't go into any more than that because you still haven't read it.
I know, it's on my fucking list, man.
It's fucking amazing. No, Famke Jensen, one of her early roles.
Oh, God,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, very, very early role for her. The practicals are still great. The CG is still very of its time. It is 90s. It is ugly. Does not look good when they pull it, when they try to do it on screen. It just looks like, I remember there's this one scene where Harry's being chased through a mansion by these like flying trapezoids that just make no fucking sense whatsoever.
I very vaguely remember that. Oh my God.
It's an awful, awful scene, but I try not to let those instances take away from the storytelling because it is fantastic. And the practical effects when they're in your face are just nasty looking. The villains are fucking great. Everybody does a fantastic job in it. Scott Bakula is fucking rad in it. There's really not a lot of bad things I can talk about, pertaining to this film. Just, mainly the CG. But I was so glad to revisit it. It was available via Shout Factory. I think it was like one of the first gen, or maybe even second of wave, Blu-ray waves of Blu-rays that they were releasing at the time. It's got to been, this Blu-ray is probably like eight years old now, so it's out of print.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes for like $100 online. I'm not even going to tell you what I paid for it because that's another ugly story altogether. However, it does look pretty amazing. You can import the Blu-ray from the UK if you want to, and that's like the $10 special. But really, really awesome time watching this, and really happy to see that again. When's the last time you seen this flick?
I've seen it once, and it was back when it first came out. And the funny thing is, I almost put it on today.
Really?
Yeah, and in fact, I think it's on Prime, if I'm not mistaken. And I have almost put it on a couple times over because it's one of those. So first of all, it's weird. I have this. I think my memory of this so it's 95, right? For some reason my memory blends certain elements of that movie and Lawnmower Man with the guy that was
Cybo Man. His name is Cybo Man.
What?
Cybo Man. His name is Cybo Man. Yeah, the ape that they shoot to death.
Oh,
in the beginning.
Yeah.
They shot Cybo Man.
Oh my God.
I own that movie. Don't fucking hit me.
Here's Bronson, right? That's who's in it? Brosnan? Is that who's in Lawnmower Man?
I don't even remember.
I think it is. Anyway.
I could reach behind me, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah. Anyway, for some reason, there's elements of those movies that like cross-pollinate, so I don't have a good memory of it. But I don't know, there was a thumb, like, I saw an image or something of Lord of Illusion recently that reminded me, like, oh yeah, no, that's not Lawnmower Man. It's going to look more like Nightbreed, except with a little bit of bad CGI, because obviously by that point in time, like, CGI was a new thing. And I mean, you're right. That's like probably the one bad thing you can say about Lord of Illusions, but it's not like it's specific to Lord of Illusions. It's just because it was new technology, so it just looks like shit now. Because
like I said, of that era,
Yeah,
and then you could spout off many of those that look like that. Even I remember when they did Children in the Corn Part 2, they added a lot of CG to it, and it was fuck awful looking.
Really?
But the movie had a lot of really interesting kills in it. It was cool. Like, it was a good story. But yeah, I do agree with you that that there's just a lot of flicks of that time that really suffer from that piss poor CG. But it's what we had to work with back then. That's what we had. And then the short story itself, fantastic.
Yeah, I read it. It's in Cabal, right? Which was like originally in Britain, it was one of the Books of Blood, and then when it was
exactly
over here was Cabal with other stories. And I read that maybe 2 or 3 years ago for the first time. And yeah, Harry D'Amour, and then he's also in.
Is it Great Secret Show or
no? It's is he the one in Damnation Game? I just read Damnation Game.
He's not in Damnation Game.
No, he's in one of. It's not whatever. Yeah. Anyway, but he resurfaces in a couple things, and I think most recently Scarlet Gospels, which I'm definitely reading this fucking year because it keeps getting pushed. But
yes,
I read a lot of Barker this year, which is cool, So, but I think
you can go wrong. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
No, you can't. I agree.
And what about you? What's the last thing you saw? What do you want to spill upon us?
So last night I noticed this week Porno dropped on Shudder. By I'm gonna apologize to this director, Keola Raisala. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, but this one I remember. I feel like I almost went to a screening of it somewhere in 2019, and I didn't. And then I was like, okay, it's eventually it's gonna end up on Shudder or streaming or something. So it just dropped on Shudder, and I watched it last night, and man, it's fucking great. It might be in my top 10 of the year. I really liked it a lot. Takes place.
How about a synopsis?
So it takes place mid-'80s. It's whatever year Encino Man and League of Their Own came out, because it's these kids all work at the 92. I'm sorry. So it would have been 92. Wow, really? Interesting. This group of kids all work at a kind of a mom and pop theater run by this guy, and they're all religious. So like before he opens a theater for the day, they have a group prayer, whatever. So, and the projectionist is a slightly older. So these are all like high school age. The projectionist is slightly older. He had like gone away to college and come back. He's straight edge, hardcore. He's got like the big black X's on the backs of his hands and stuff like that. And he's religious and against anything. And, he talks about how the theater owner saved him from, his vice, which was nicotine. It's just like, but everybody's pretty likable. So when the way they work, it's like a Friday. So they have a deal with the boss where when the last movie's over, they clean up and then they can do Friday night movie club. So they pick a movie and they'll watch it together. And so they find that there's a homeless guy in the theater after they've locked up. So they try to like, get him to lead him outside. He freaks out and he breaks through this, like behind this curtain, there's like a boarded up door. He breaks through it. And then they're like, what the hell is this? And they go down these stairs and there's like another theater room down there. And then there's an archive room. They go in, there's all these like film cans. And one of them has this weird symbol on it. So they bring it upstairs, and then they don't know where the homeless guy, they think he left. So they lock themselves in and they play this. And it's this like, the footage they watch, I loved. It sealed the deal. Like I didn't know if this was going to be like a straight up like, is it going to be a porno or like, but it's like really ritualistic and just fucking weird. And then after that, and this isn't spoiling anything, this is in the thumbnail, or I mean in the description, they have awakened a succubi, a sex demon, that then preys on them in this theater and they can't get out. It's really fun. I loved the footage that they watched. It's done in this just cool, like, oh man, I don't know. I really liked it. Cool performances. There is a scene in it. And a couple months ago, they actually explained how they did this practical effect in an article in Fangoria. Somebody's balls explode and somebody else has to like field dress the wound. Dude.
You had me at balls.
It's fucking rough. I mean, it is rough.
What?
Oh my God. Like
what circumstances are you even in where it's just like, well, there's a pretty good chance my balls might explode tonight?
oh man, dude, it's
I don't want to hear it because now I want to see the film.
it's worth it. It's worth. I mean, it's hard to get through, but the practical effects are like. There's one thing in particular about it. Actually, there's two images within these images that were just like, oh, like, oh my God, really well done. But it's just a fun flick. Like I liked it a lot. It's kind of, they call it a horror comedy. It is, but it's not like super comedy where you're laughing all, like there's enough like kind of creepy fucked up stuff. And as I was describing the plot to you with like the hidden door and the hidden theater and the film can with the weird symbol, it sounds cliche, but it fucking works. Like it's not reinventing the wheel, but it's good. I really liked it. I would recommend anybody, especially if you have Shudder, because it's fucking there. So just, check it out. It's cool. I dug it. I'd like to see what the director does after this. I think it's very cool.
Nice. I'm in. You had me at balls.
I'm
doing it.
What else you got?
I went and had a rewatch of 2011's Joe Cornish film, Attack the Block.
Oh, great flick.
Fantastic horror, sci-fi, comedy blend of awesomeness. I remember I never got the chance to see this thing theatrically. I don't know if it flew like way under my radar back then.
I saw it theatrically, and it was like a total fluke that I saw it.
I envy you.
It was cool, but yeah. Anyway.
No, I had a buddy of mine who he bought the Blu-ray and brought us over, and he had like a big 70-inch TV. He's like, "You guys got to come over here and watch this shit." And I remember like probably 12 of us packed into his living room and threw this thing on, and it was fucking awesome. And no, I came across it again streaming on the Showtime app, and I had some time to kill and had a blast watching it again. This is a movie that spawned John Boyega's career.
Yeah,
we saw him in all the last Star Wars movies. What else do we see him in? Pacific Rim 2, and the list goes on. He's proven himself a pretty good, character actor. He's pretty awesome. I like the kid.
I agree.
I don't think anybody else really jumped off from this film. Maybe one guy. I think he's on one of the DC shows on whatever that channel is that shows all the DC stuff, and not the DC channel. But anyway, really fun, really cool practical effects.
Yeah, definitely.
Funny as fuck. I think Edgar Wright may have produced on this.
That sounds right. Nick Frost is obviously in it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, is it a cameo or is it a little bit more than a cameo?
It's extended. That's That's Ron's weed room. So they all come out.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, that's like it's the safest place on the block. We gotta go to floor 19. We gotta go to Ron's weed room. It's the safest. But I mean, short synopsis. These young hoodie kids are out there robbing and acting like tough kids and on the streets of London, and then something falls out of the sky. It attacks a kid. They kill it. Before they know it, there's an alien invasion. People are getting chewed up. People are getting arrested. People are running for their lives, and it's just chaos ensues. But it's so funny. It's such a good movie, and I recommend it to everybody who hasn't seen it yet. Yeah. I mean, it's been around for a while now, but man, fun. It was such a good time seeing that thing again.
It's a great flick. I love it. It'd make a good double feature with anything that Edgar Wright did. Any of the, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, or World's End, any of them, it would make a great double feature.
So I've gone and spilled a bunch of blood on the floor, and we have summoned one of our other cast members.
Yes. Tori!
Hey! Yeah, well,
what's going on?
Nothing. Hey, guys, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Just got caught up in the kerfuffle of the holiday, and
I hear you.
And then I realized too, I'm like, well, I didn't watch a lot of horror this week either.
That's okay. I watched 3 Rambo movies.
Yeah.
Simultaneous. He did. I kind of played a joke on Anthony. I told him that if Flaming Lips have that record Zyreka where there's 4 different discs and you have to get 4 different stereos and play them all at once, and it makes a different piece of music by combining them. So I told Anthony, if you play the first 3 Rambo movies, if you hit play on 3 different TVs at the same time, you get a different movie. Did it
I got a
work?
wicked nosebleed. I got a wicked nosebleed. That's about it.
Oh no! What happens if you hit play on all the first 3 Rambo movies at once? They combine to make the porno that Stallone made in order to fund Rocky.
And the song that Frank Stallone sings.
Yeah.
could play through the-
So what have you seen? You said you didn't watch much horror. Anything to log on the books?
Yeah, I watched The Dead Don't Die by Jim Jarmusch. Yeah. I dug it. I feel like it got a lot of shit. A lot of critics kind of panned it, but I thought it was fun. I liked the dry humor.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the whole breaking down the fourth wall. That was cool. If anybody have seen it. It kind of meandered toward the end where I was thinking, okay, you could wrap it up now. But otherwise, I really liked it. I thought it was a fun time. Had a great cast. Bill Murray.
I feel like I really like Jarmusch, but if I'm not in the mood for Jarmusch, which is a very specific, fleeting, and not regularly occurring mood, but when I'm in the mood for him, I really dig his stuff. So I think I had planned, I want to rewatch Patterson, which I loved from a couple years ago, and then that'll like kick me into a Jarmusch mood, and then I'll watch The Dead Don't Die, because now I know now it's like streaming on, what's it on? Is that Max?
Yeah, it's on HBO Max.
I saw it just dropped somewhere. I'm like, I still haven't seen it. So I know, Anthony, you saw it in the theater, and you couldn't wait for it to end, I believe.
Yeah, I despised it. But you know what? I love Only Lovers Left Alive.
That's.
So,
I feel like that's a Jarmusch movie that transcends its Jarmuschness. I mean, I get it. Like his stuff is just, it's definitely not for everybody. I mean, I don't even mean that to sound condescending. There's just a tempo and a mood to it that just, it, you know, I don't know. I had to kind of learn to like it.
It's a lot like Wes Anderson. Either you like it or you don't.
Yeah. He's a little precious. I don't feel like Jarmusch isn't precious. Jarmusch is just dry as fuck.
In Dead Don't Die, I really liked the dry. I love Bill Murray. Well, again, Bill Murray to me, I think he's great in almost everything.
Yeah.
Liked him in Dead Don't Die. I liked all the nods to what's it called? Night of Living Dead. I mean, huge shout out to them, which is cool. But yeah, like at the end, it just started kind of like meandering along, and then the way it ended, I wasn't happy with it. But I had a good time. I would watch it again, and I love Tilda Swinton. Oh my God, she's
yeah, she's pretty amazing.
And her with a Scottish accent and the katana.
Oh wow! Well, that
Yeah.
wow.
All for it.
I watched. So this is horror in the way that we would consider some Hitchcock, or even I feel like some Stephen King, that's where it's like, yeah, it's not really horror, but it's suspense that borders on it, so it's horror adjacent. But I really wanted to talk about this movie Run by Anish Chaganty. It just hit Hulu like last week, I think. Sarah Paulson and Kira Allen. Oh fuck. I loved it. I feel like everybody should watch it. You shouldn't read anything about it. Don't watch a trailer. Just fucking watch the movie. I didn't know what was happening. So as it is unfolding, you're like, it's just very tense. Very good at creating and maintaining and ratcheting up suspense in a way that was fucking just crazy. I loved it.
Paulson ratcheting it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I still need to watch that. The ratchet or whatever, but yeah, Run's great. I really liked it.
Ratchet. Is she playing a good is Paulson playing a good psycho in that movie? Because
I'm not saying anything.
Okay.
I'm not saying a word.
Okay.
But it's fun. It's good.
Okay. I'll restart it. I think I put it on I was just super tired. So I got 20 minutes in and turned it off because I was fall asleep.
The shame of it is, I guess it was somebody was telling me it was the most watched premiere on Hulu, and it was originally supposed to be in theaters in Mother's Day, around Mother's Day, 6 months ago or whatever. And it's such a fucking shame it wasn't, because I feel like it would have finally made her Sarah Paulson a box office draw. And it just, I feel like she got cheated because of obviously, world events. So that sucks, because I think she's great. I mean, she's great in everything. But yeah, it's good. Anthony, what else you got?
I traveled back to the year 2000.
Yeah. In the year 2000. That was not rehearsed, ladies and gentlemen.
Natural magic right there, you guys.
Yes.
That's right. And I watched Scott Derrickson's Hellraiser 5, a.k.a. Hellraiser Inferno, starring Craig Schaefer from motherfucking Nightbreed.
Anthony.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm excited. Go on. I'm so excited. I love that movie.
I've said this before. Hellraiser Inferno is actually one of my favorite in the series, and it gets so much fucking garbage because it created the archetype for the next 4 or 5 Hellraiser movies, which is unfortunate. They stuck to the whole, we found a body that's all ripped up by chains. What do we do now? Let's call the police and have a big investigation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it worked for Inferno specifically. And I love the fucking vibe of that movie. Craig Schaefer's such a piece of shit cop. Like he's an asshole to his family. I mean, he's a bad person, and he ends up, he ends up where he ends up, and we all know it's not a good place when you're sitting next to Pinhead. There's a lot of great dialogue from Doug Bradley in it. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, Doug Bradley has more dialogue and screen time in this film than he does in any other Hellraiser film.
Oh, wow.
And his monologue at the end that he delivers to the main character is just fucking amazing. And it's low budget and it's effective. The practical effects that they do have in it are amazing. The CG that they do put in it is minimal, so it's not like really ugly to look at. It's fucking awesome. It's such a good movie. Scott Derrickson did Sinister.
And Doctor Strange.
And fucking Doctor Strange, which also, has the great Tilda Swinton in it. Yeah, I saw something in this director back then, and I'm glad he's at where he's at now. I think it's taken him quite a while to get there, but I mean, you look at his early starts, and it's fucking quality work. It's quality material. I was just kind of glad to jump back on the Clive Barker train again, and even though he's very, very far removed from this iteration of Hellraiser, it's still a phenomenal film. Like I said, I was so glad to sit down and rewatch that. Hey, you know what? I got 3 reviews this week that I didn't hate any of them, so that's good.
Nice.
But yeah, Hellraiser Inferno. Fucking watch it if you haven't.
I need to see that one, man. I've only seen the first 3, obviously, and then the only new one I saw was Judgment, which I liked with some. Yeah. But
cool.
I know everything else gets shit on. A couple years ago, when I realized Derrickson did that, I was interested, and then you've been a major champion of the film, and it's. I guess I'm going to end up just renting it to stream.
I have it if you want to borrow it.
Yeah, but that's like, when do we see each other?
Slip it on your doorstep. Right, like in the night. I'll
stream it. One of these days. I'll just avoid the rest of them. I don't know. I mean, one day I should probably watch. The only one I know I'll never watch is Revelations. That like handy cam one, whatever. I don't know.
I mean, to me, they're all kind of fun. Even the shitty ones like Hell World. It's very Y2K. Lance Henriksen comes in it for a little bit. They're all kind of cool, but definitely Inferno is super dark in tone. The Cenobite design is really cool.
Oh.
Yeah. But that scene, like on Cinemax at 3 a.m. years ago, and just being like, this is amazing, and no one's talking about it. And it's Nightbreed.
Right.
Can't score.
Hmm.
Yay, Anthony, watch it.
What else have you seen, Tori?
Really not much. Oh, I watched Section 9 finally with David Caruso.
Oh, what do you think?
I enjoyed it. I put it on just has background noise, and I ended up getting really into it. Again, it's one of those movies I got kind of shit on, but it wasn't bad. It was kind of cool. I don't know. Have you guys seen that one?
I
Session
just
9?
rewatched that recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I hadn't seen it in a year, like not since it came out.
I like the young actor. I never remember his name. The
guy with the mullet and the track pants.
I feel like he's from like Southside Boston or something.
Is it Josh Lucas?
He is in it too, yeah.
So that's okay. It's not him. The guy in it that I really like. It's funny. We're watching this, and I'm like, I've seen this fucking guy recently. The Irish guy, Peter Mullen. He plays Gordon. He's on Ozark. He's in the first couple seasons of Ozark. He's a fucking great actor. He's fantastic in both those things, and I've seen him in other stuff as well. The actor you're talking about is Brandon Sexton III.
He's a great actor.
Yeah, 3 Billboards, Russian Doll, Empire Records. And Anthony, you've seen Session 9. We talked about this recently, I feel like, right?
You and Ray did. You
Okay.
guys done a recent episode. I honestly have yet to see the film.
It's good. It's Brad Anderson's first full length, I believe. And although I haven't liked every Brad Anderson film I've seen, I really like him, and especially like the first 3 or 4. I don't know that I love the way that it ends and like the kind of explanation that you get for what's going on, but I didn't hate it. Let's put it that way. I just was like, okay. But it's a good flick. It's creepy as fuck, man. The setting itself, this guy's doing asbestos removal of an abandoned insane asylum. It's like, sign me up.
And they literally did like very, very minimal set design.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you can tell that was, one of the things about Werner Herzog I like is sometimes with his movies, I can tell he picked the location first and then wrote the movie around the location. And I feel like that is 100% like this. And like back when I was going in college and doing sound for film, like me and some guys were going to film, and this is before Session 9, we were going to film, like I went to school with a guy that was from Michigan, and there was an abandoned insane asylum in his hometown. And we were seriously planning on like getting the gear from school, going up and just filming something where we broke in, 3 of us, and then just broke in and walked around at night. And the idea was whether or not anything happened, because there was local legends and stuff, and like obviously probably, transients live there and junkies or whatever. But whether or not anything happened, the idea was I wanted to capture the fear and the suspense that we were going through on film. And so I thought that would be a really cool way to do it. This is like shortly after Blair Witch, which I thought nails that. So this was like, okay, but this will be like, it never happened. But so when I saw this movie, I was like, fuck, look at that. Like that location is perfect. Fuck, man. So yeah, minimal set design.
Creepy, super creepy. The little like graves outside of the hospital. Just
yeah.
Very. And I like how there are legends concerning that hospital as it is, and people were treated horribly there. Only adding to it.
Yeah. I think that's on Netflix, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's the disc is out of print. You can't get that shit. Last I checked.
Really?
It was on Shudder for like a year, and I didn't watch it, and then it disappeared from Shudder. I was like, fuck, I missed my chance. And then it hit Netflix, and I watched it right away.
It made the rounds.
I believe it was just released last year through Shout Factory. It should still be floating around.
Okay, then I'm referencing before they re-released it then, or before they released it. Because I remember
saw Ghost Ship got a Blu-ray release.
It sure fucking did.
Dude, that movie was out of print for a long time too, and really hard to find.
I got it.
You just got that one, didn't you?
I don't have the new Shout Factory edition, but I did have the
first.
You
did? Okay.
Yeah, just the bare bones edition, just because saw it on a shelf for $7, but I did enjoy the flick. I genuinely liked the movie.
Really
I do want to watch that one, and I did see that it just hit, got released, so that's definitely on my list. So not another flick, but Eibon Press, or Eibon, I guess. I think it's pronounced Eibon. They're doing these. They do a lot of Fulci comics. They have some of their own properties as well, Wasteland and Bottom Feeder, which I haven't read either one. But they both look fucking awesome. But so the Beyond, they have a 4-issue, and the 4th issue was released, I think, in August, and I pre-ordered it and ordered issues 2 and 3 and 4. So I just got them because there was some kind of a printing, mishap or whatever. But anyway, I had previously gotten one. I think I talked about it, I don't know, 8 months ago, something like that. So, man, it's so good. Like, before we started the actual episode, I was telling Anthony, Fulci, I always loved House by the Cemetery. City of the Living Dead I saw back in the day, but it didn't really register. And then The Beyond I actively disliked. And the reason I actively disliked The Beyond was it seemed to me there was no story whatsoever, and that it was just this like scaffolding to put these like, handful of gore vignettes up. And so it just bugged me. And then Anthony, shortly after I met you a couple years ago, you lent it to me. We had a conversation. I was reading about it, and there was somebody online compared it to a fever dream, and a lot of people that write about it talk about how it has this nightmare logic. And so when I borrowed it from you and I rewatched it with that in mind, I don't know. The movie opened up for me. Sometimes you don't get an album and you listen to it, and then at some point something is the key that opens one song, and then from there the whole album is just like dominoes. It's like, oh my God, what wasn't I hearing?
For me, it was Bop, and then Hanson just fucking made sense, right?
Yeah, right. I'm right there with you. Yeah. Anyway, I've watched The Beyond probably 3 or 4 times at least since that, like in the last 2 or 3 years. I fucking love it. And one of the things I love about that, and then when you rope in, he's got that like the Gates of Hell trilogy where it's also House by the Cemetery and it's also City of the Living Dead. There's this bigger picture between the lines of all those movies, and you never really get to explore it. It's all implied, and you can feel this like these bigger elements of these stories, and they never were realized. And so Eibon Press is doing that. And so Stephen Romano, and he's the writer, and Pat Carbajal and Bruno Costa. So this is both an adaptation of the events in the movie, but also it adapts them with all this extra stuff. So in other words, the first issue actually starts well before the movie starts, and it ends with the opening of the movie where the guys, come by car and by boat, and they grab Schwick and bring him into the cellar and fucking crucify him, melt his face, beat him with the chains. And they really go into this. I reread 1, I read 2, and I'm in the middle of reading 3. They really go into this thing where all these people have like past lives where they knew one another in different combinations, and it's kind of this inevitability of this happening, and it's fucking awesome. Like it's really, really cool. I can't, if you're a Fulci fan and you're not reading it, definitely read it. And I mean, a lot of people, I know I've talked to people where it's like, man, it's kind of like, you're paying almost like $20 per comic, but it's a small fucking company. It's worth it. Like, there's so much about each issue that is just, I don't know. I had no problem spending the money, and I'm psyched. I want to go back and they have a House by the Cemetery series, which I think is a straight adaptation. I'm not sure if it's like this where it expands it. I'm going to get that. And then there's a Gates of Hell one as well, which they've now collected. The individual issues, I believe, are out of print. They've collected it in a trade. So I'll get that. And then next year they announced they're going to do Escape from the Beyond. And I was telling Anthony before we started the episode, in the first issue, there's this weird, like, kind of flash forward where there's one of these iterations of these blonde, psychic, blind women that run through the whole story, the movie and the comics. she's killed by these like military troops, and it appears to be in an apocalyptic scenario where you can see in the background all these like skyscrapers that are destroyed, and then the one troop is like, come on, the flesh mutants will be here once it gets dark. We need to get back to base. And so I'm like, wait, what are they setting up here? So I think that's going to feed into this Escape from the Beyond. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. I'll be supporting that next year. But Eibon Press, they're a great company, and I just definitely like anybody into Fulci, you should check it out. I think it's just eibonpress.com. So,
and it's
very
all
cool.
business day. So support these small businesses that are going through a lot as it is, and then especially with world events.
Yeah.
So their zombie flesh eaters, if I'm not mistaken, takes up right where the film leaves off with all the zombies marching across the bridge into New York.
Oh.
And so I think the series picks up at the end of the film, and just it's all the chaos happening after that. And I think that's run for like 7 or 8 issues now.
I think you're right.
Yeah, is it still ongoing?
I don't know. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but they're definitely, I think most of them, if not all of them, are still available. I mean, they do low print runs of shit too. Like all these are like limited to 1,000 copies or whatever. They also have they're doing Maniac.
Maniac 2, yeah.
Yeah, and so that like picks up after I think, although he dies at the end of the film, but I'm sure there's a way around that, to continue the story. And then actually, I think they have New York. In fact, I think they do a New York Ripper comic, and I think they have a comic that's Maniac and New York Ripper, like team up or whatever.
Well, I think it was like a versus issue.
Which that's crazy.
Comic.
Huh?
Did you do the Cat on the Brain comic too?
That would. I've never seen Cat on the Brain. There's a lot of Fulci I haven't seen. I think it was Enigma. I remembered the box cover from when I was little, so I tried to watch that not that long ago, and I was like, I don't know about this. But he's another one. Fulci has a style that I feel like you have to kind of roll across the palette a couple times before you can accurately judge whether or not you like it. It can turn people off, like it did me, initially, and then once I kind of came at it with a different, like more of an open mind, it really worked. So
Fulci, like the zombie movies, for some reason, have always given me a Lovecraft vibe.
That's interesting.
I don't know, because I know it's obviously not, but I don't know. There's something about it that, like how events kind of affect the surrounding environment they're in, and kind of like slowly poisons the town. I don't know why. It just
there's a supernatural mythos behind each of those Gates of Hell films. Which I see what you mean by that, because it's not just like your typical zombie movie where it's like, oh, I got bit, now I'm dead, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so on. So yeah, I get where you're going with that.
I feel like the zombie aspect is more of a symptom of what's going on in the environment, of something more malevolent, bigger than just people eating flesh or all these horrible.
Definitely.
Which is the gates of hell being open.
Yeah, right.
Hellgate open.
Yeah. But like, especially the ending of the Beyond, where you have that beautiful like nightmare scene.
Yeah.
Which Lord of Illusions took that. I don't know. To me, I always saw that, and I don't know. It just Lovecraft came to mind. Lovecraft and Hieronymus Bosch.
It's interesting, the Lovecraft thing, because in the first issue of this Beyond comic, they mention, when they talk about Eibon, who was this prophet from biblical times and wrote this book, they talk about how Eibon wrote one, or Eibon, whatever, and Enoch. And there is like an actual, Book of Enoch, which the church did eventually rearrange and curate as the Book of Revelations. That's where the Book of Revelations comes from. It's actually the Book of Enoch. But so they say where this Book of Eibon ends up in Louisiana, for this chain of events, they mention that the Book of Enoch is in Dunwich, which is an immediate like Lovecraft tie-in. So I was like, oh, nice. Like, very, very cool. And I like the way you say that. It's not just, the zombies being like, oh, because of some satellite or this or that. Like, it's like Anthony said, the gates of hell are opening, and it's just like poison, leaching into the environment and changing things. I think that's really, I don't know. That's that bigger picture, you know, that is between the lines of the movies. And I don't know. Yeah. Oh, good stuff.
Think of Mother of Tears when all the women start going crazy.
Yeah.
Right. Because something is happening and only they can feel it. Like insects, you know? They know, like having that effect, which to me is a little bit creepier.
Yeah.
And it's this bigger picture.
I got one more thing. The last thing I got, Cecilia finally said, all right, sit down. You're going to watch Dexter.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And I think I'm like 7 episodes in, and it's, it's pretty interesting so far. I've chuckled a couple times, and there's a funny cat and mouse thing going on between Dexter and the serial killer in the first season. Now I'm way, way, way behind on all this shit. So, don't hurt me.
No.
Or hurt me plenty. That's a Doom reference. But yeah, it's like it's been pretty fun so far. I've enjoyed it. I hear a lot of mixed reviews about the upcoming seasons, how they kind of go to shit at some point and then they come back. But I could say that about many, many shows. So in the meantime, I'll stick with it. I'm still squeezing films in, but yeah, so far so good. Dexter's okay.
I think I've only seen the first 2 seasons. I like that dark comedy. I want to watch the season with John Lithgow.
I've heard it's the best.
Yeah, me too.
I didn't think it was the best. I've seen up to I think the beginning of season 7, and then it just like things in my life happened. I stopped watching it, and I never went back. But I like pretty much every season I watched. 1 was really great. 2's good. 3 with Jimmy Smits, I think, was my favorite. And everybody kept telling me when I was watching that, just wait till you get to 4 with Lithgow. And I think it was overhyped because I didn't think it was as great as ever. Like, I really like Jimmy Smits' character in 3, and everybody's like, "Oh, Lithgow, fucking trust me." And yeah, I mean, it's good. 4 also, there's a regular character in that series that I fucking hated, and I wished would die, and 4 gives you that, and I felt really bad after. And then also, I couldn't stand his sister Deb for the first 3 seasons, and after 4, she was my favorite fucking character. I love her, but it took me 3 seasons. Huh?
I remember being annoyed by the girlfriend.
Yeah. The people in his life, I mean, I think that's part of that's just on purpose, that, like, I don't know. They all take a little getting used to, and it's because you obviously he's your in to the story, right? So, but it's good.
I guess this is just in time because they've announced that they're bringing Dexter back for some new thing they're going to do, which I know nothing about. So, whatever.
Yeah, we'll see. I saw that. That's, I mean, the inevitability. It's like all the bands that get back together. I mean, that could be cool. I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever go back and rewatch it and finish the actual series or not. Maybe. I would actually like to say that we should also say, rest in peace to Daria Nicolodi, because she passed away recently, and man, talk about a fucking legend.
I mean, the true writer to Suspiria too.
Yeah. So that I was sorry to see that.
Yeah, that was a bummer. Yeah, I should watch something with her tonight.
Yeah.
I'll watch Rambo 4.
So, okay, well, we can wrap it. So, good to touch base, and we'll do another one soon. But in the meantime, or for now, for the Horror Vision Horror Podcast, I'm Shawn.
I am Anthony.
Tori.
Later.
Bye.
Absolutely. I mean, that's such a Bop is such a just undiscovered gem of.
It's a
you know,
masterpiece. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue.